it went to China primarily. So we imported our raw materials from China. So out of $544 million, $300 million we actually sent back. That is not what we want to do. We want to keep all $544 million. And I remember 8 months ago when we were in this room, we talked about that is 0.5% of US imports. How can we change that? How can we make it 2% of US imports? How can we make it 5% of US imports? And I think at that point we did commit to you, by 2025 we can give you 2% of US imports, which is $2 billion, and 5% by 2030, which is $5 billion. The direct jobs in that sector would be 200,000 jobs by 25 and 500,000 jobs by 2030. So yes, the textile value chain that you've picked is definitely a low-hanging fruit. It's definitely easily attainable because we are all making world-class product already, and it's a labor-intensive industry, and what we're looking for is jobs. And with that backward integration from the field to the fashion, which is what we are talking about today, from the cotton fields that all the governors will help us grow, to fire up our mills, so we can retain that entire value. Right now, Kenya is sitting at a very pretty place, a very pretty place meaning the global geopolitics that is driving business between the US and China, and it's an open secret. I think if we play our cards right, we could actually be alternative supply chain out of China to the US, but made in Kenya. So we also did mention that there was, and I did talk about a small story last time, about one company that actually transformed Bangladesh to $42 billion. I'm happy to report today, sir, on Tuesday that company will be coming here to meet you for 2 days to see if they can replicate what they did in Chittagong, and so that we can create those jobs in Naivasha. I was trying to brief my governor earlier on. They will be here in Naivasha, and we will, the governor and myself will host them before we bring them to you, and hope that we can transform Kenya to the way you want us to do. Asanteni sana. God bless.
Thank you, Jez.
Thank you very much. Automotive, Moses Nderito, maybe you can just say, where do you need intervention for us to get to the electric cars, to the electric motorcycles in a minute or two? And as you come, I'll have two more quickly, and then I'll turn it over back to the governors. I'll have leather, PVS Rao, and I'll also have housing. And first we'll stop from there before we move to the rest.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I am here representing electric mobility. And yesterday we were very excited when we had your speech at the 60th Madaraka Day. What are we looking for? We are looking for what KAM said. In 2008, President Kibaki gave an enabling environment for two-wheelers. So electric mobility is divided into four. Two-wheelers, bicycles, two- and three-wheelers, motorcycles and tuk-tuks, four-wheelers, which includes vehicles, buses, and commercial vehicles, and charging infrastructure. A little incentive from the government for us to manufacture here locally. There's already 35 companies that are actually in startup phase, have invested over $50 million, and we are looking to push that to be able to actually increase that and actually manufacture here locally, using the value chains already been created. But on top of that, we will be able to support all the other value chains we've had. Those extension officers can use electric bicycles and electric motorcycles. We can do last mile delivery of all those, of the pharmaceuticals, the leather, even in the housing, we can use electric motorcycles, we can use electric vehicles, and even be able to use electric buses to deliver those people to the actual places of work. So for us, we're just looking for a small incentive on the manufacturing side and on the lithium-ion batteries. Currently, lithium-ion batteries attract duty if they're for transport, but if they're for solar, they actually have no duty. If we then were able to have a level playing field, exactly what solar had, exactly what Boda Boda had 8 years ago, I can tell you we will give you an excellent area for investment and also employing a lot of people. And this is an area that is predominantly youth. I am the oldest person in that industry. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much, Moses. Straight to the point, what you need. Thank you. Let's have Rao, leather. I know leather has been spoken a lot. The Vice Chair of COG is right here, talked a lot about it. What do you really need to move it to the next level?
Your Excellency, all protocols observed,
My name is Rao. I am representing the leather sector, which is one of the pillars. I think, by His Excellency, he is preaching about leather since 2018. And we are very fortunate because the beauty about leather, which no other sector has got in Kenya, is we have raw materials, huge raw material base. We have excellent manpower, and we have a beautiful market among East African countries and Africa and export. Your Excellency, just give you points. You always told us how to think big. We started thinking big in the leather sector. And we have made a lot of, forward, movements since you have taken over. And dear audience, in the last 41 years of my life in leather sector in Kenya, I have never attended 7 meetings related to the leather under one president in 6 months. This is the first time in the history. So we thank you for that. You always say, what do you want from me and what you can give, what we give as a private sector. I have only 2 things, Your Excellency, that our raw material quality until 2016 was excellent because the slaughterhouses, there was a proper management and it was under national government. Since the devolution has happened, we had a challenge on the slaughterhouses management of flaying and so on, so on, so. I'm very fortunate that we have, on the invitation of His Excellency, the Governor of Shambur, I visited. They have built a modern, slaughterhouse. We want to be competitive in the world market, and domestically, we need to revive our slaughterhouses with the training of flayers, and we need good quality raw material. So we don't reduce our duty and export our raw material for food instead of using for industry. Number 2, we are very happy to inform you, Your Excellency, that the private sector, the tanneries, the small and medium scale, and also large investors are investing on footwear and leather goods. After talking to all our sector members in the last 6 months, they are already in the planning of 500 million shillings has been pledged. They are already ordered the machinery, and we are going on. Now, coming to the last one, which is, I think, your vision, which is one of the best, is to prepare school shoes at the county levels for our children. We want to give a school shoe for every child in this country. We don't want them to wear a plastic. We don't want to walk bare feet. So each county, please, I would like the first 7 counties, please come, talk to us. We have a technology, like our Excellency says, making shoe is not a rocket science. So it is very easy. We are here to work, and we want, Your Excellency, give us 7 counties. We produce 1,000 pairs every day, creating an employment of 5,000 to start with in the next 6 months. And also, one more thing which is very, very important for many of you who may not be aware, we have been positioned in a beautiful position-wise because God has given us that opportunity at present. Ethiopia had 15 tanneries. Today, there were only 4 operating. Sudan is completely gone because of these situations. All our neighboring countries in East Africa, there are no tanneries except the world-class tanneries we have in Kenya. So we have an opportunity to take all these materials to convert into a product value addition, creating employment of 100,000, which is not difficult. To do this, Your Excellency, the last thing I want to request your government, that we need to train artisans, we need to train people on footwear and leather goods designing and training program. Now, we can export our labor force not only for us, to the whole of Africa. That will be a very big, another 100,000. Trust me, Your Excellency, please help us out in good training program, which we are talking for many, many years. Your hard decisions, your firm decisions will help us out. Finally, our governor here, brother, in 2017 and 18, we used to buy camel hides, 100 tons every month. We used to tan and export to one of the best brands in the world called Eco Shoe from Switzerland. And so if you give me a good hide, well flayed, and we can buy all your camel. Number 2, We are buying every day. Our leather sector is buying 10,000 skins in Kamaiko, in and around Nairobi, skins, and all the skins are coming from northern region. So there is no problem with this, with the material, raw material, and the skins. The problem is accessibility. So we are ready to work with. We want to make it sure that we are going to produce at least, in my opinion, more than 20 million pairs of shoes in the next 5 years. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. If you know eco shoes, they are some of the most expensive shoes around the world. So if they can be produced here, you can imagine what our revenue will be. But as we said, the global challenges have opened opportunities for us. It's for us to grab them. Let me ask Winnie Ngumi, housing. And just very quickly, any intervention that you need from government. You've had the president and his passion on housing.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Winnie Ngumi, Managing Director, Space and Style. I'm also the Chair of Building and Construction Sector at Kenya Association of Manufacturers. I sit on the Industry Sector Board at KEPSA, and I also happen to wear a public sector hat as the Chair of the Kenya National Highways Authority. So I do have a view across public and private. And in terms of construction, Your Excellency, all we need is the enforcement of the local content policy, because sitting on both sides, I know how challenging it is to enforce the local content policy. We do have factories, Your Excellency, on the ground. I do have a factory that manufactures roofing tiles, and my consumption is actually 30%. If we are able to enact to enforce the local content policy, we'll be able to move instantly job creation across our industries instantly. And that includes ceramics. We have ceramics, our cement, our glass, our doors, our painting manufacturers, piping manufacturers, just by the enforcement of the local content policy. We did work with the previous, in the last 2 years, and we created the procurement master role. It is not being it was gazetted, but it's not enforceable because we are not able to have laws under the PPADA that can enforce this. So, Your Excellency, all we need is the right specifications from the ministry, and we have engaged PS Hinga, and we have open doors there to ensure that as long as we are able to manufacture on the ground, that our local materials are the ones that will be consumed first. And I say this because my company started importation for 15 years and went into production 5 years ago, and today 90% of the products we manufacture are sold locally, and only 5% we import. So it is possible to do that. And also the last thing is that we do run a lot of programs for training of fundis. We just want to work with the Ministry of Education to ensure that these programs are recognized, so that the fundis that we have trained, and my company has trained over 5,000, that these are accredited, and that these fundis can be consumed by the National Construction Authority, so that then as they are forming their cooperatives, that they are able to get funding from sectors like UN Habitat that has money for fundis, so that they can now run companies or small little businesses that will be able to build into the value chain. And I would be failing my profession as an architect to say this, Your Excellency, that we look forward to our contribution as professions in the built environment as an architect to contributing directly into bringing sanity into the construction sector. We are working on an act that's going to put together a lot of structure to our sector, so that then we can ensure from an architectural point of view, we are designing the right products that are consuming made in Kenya products, and that ultimately we will see the houses that you want desired. Your Excellency, as a sector, we are very excited to have 9 billion shillings poured into our sector. We are ready to run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because of interest of time, we've really talked about edible oils and pyrethrums, so I may not call them right now, but let me finish with pharmaceuticals, and I'll just call Dr. Vimal Patel just to very quickly say, what are the needs? You've heard about saline water. What do you need to be able to do that in Kirinyaga, at the coast, and everywhere else?
Thank you, Carol, Your Excellency, and all protocols observed. So I'm coming not in numbers as employees. I'm looking at the security of Kenya. Where I talk about security, I'm talking about when we had COVID. During COVID time, there was a drug called azithromycin, which was first choice thing. Luckily, we had the raw materials. We supplied Kenya. And we supplied in a short time, which then tells you a story. It tells you that manufacturing here is better than importing. The second story I'm going to tell you, that if we want to grow, I know you're passionate about pharmaceuticals. I've seen everywhere you mentioned it. If you want to grow, and we want to be an India of Africa, we need to change certain tax policies. And that, what I mean, is that today medicine is exempt. Everybody thinks exempt means zero VAT, but it doesn't. It means that for me, if I put up a factory, I put up anything to do with services, electricity, I'm paying VAT, and I cannot claim back. An importer does not have that kind of claim back. So I think we need to change the policy. The second thing we need to do is that Kenya is the hub of East Africa. But what is saddening, because our policies don't support us manufacturers, people like Uganda, the number of factories are coming higher. I think we should not waste this opportunity. And I can tell you, once we do this, you will see API plant coming up in Africa. I know you're passionate about that as well, but it won't come without these things. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me hand it over next to Eric.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, you've heard from the private sector and what the private sector has said this afternoon. Well, there's been a bit of talking about what the private sector would like to see, what the private sector would want to get from government, from the national government and from the county governments. And Excellencies Governors, you've also heard this, but also you've heard the private sector speaking enthusiastically about the entire program and saying that they are on board and committed to the value chain approach and how the value chains then can support the economy to grow. Now, I'd like to give the opportunity to you, Governor Waiguru. You've heard what the private sector are saying, you know, in terms of they just need to engage with governors to see where the opportunities are per county. Like you've said, it's per county, engaging with the governors per county and responding to some of the needs that they've raised here. How would you make sure that what you've had today is actualized in terms of moving forward a conversation into action?
I think as I respond to this, I just want to warn my colleague that I will give him an opportunity to just add to what it is that I'm going to say, Governor Lusaka. On the issue of what it is that the counties need to do, I've had a few statements that have been made. Some, I think one of them was a bit blanket on there's no extension services in the counties. I think what we may need to do is maybe enhance the visibility of our extension services to ensure that we're providing the quality that the private sector is looking for. And I think for us to be able to provide the quality of, let's say, the produce, we need to engage with the private sector for them to articulate and be very clear on what it is they're looking for. We've heard today on leather, what is the situation? They said the quality of the hides is a problem because of the slaughterhouses. So if that is the problem, then maybe Governor of Wajir and other governors who have slaughterhouses will sit with the sector that produces or processes leather and come up with a an agreement that confirms what is it that is expected standards, and then an assurance of market if they meet that standard, and then we have a working relationship, and that can work across the sectors. Now let me ask Governor Bungoma to please come and also respond to a few issues.
Mine will be brief. First, as Chair of Agriculture, and secondly, as a Governor Bungoma, and thirdly, in my other world, I was a PS in livestock development. I want to agree with what the Governor Wajir said, because when we were PS, we had a very clear plan on what we wanted to do. You realize that in Isiolo, we put an international abattoir and an airport. Isiolo the same, Garissa the same, and the idea was to export whatever was being produced there to other countries. So I think we need to follow up and know whether that is still on course, so that those airports can work and they continue producing, so that we are able to implement what you are saying. And getting things done, Your Excellency, all counties are very excited. We are very excited about the housing, the affordable housing. We have found land and we are ready. We are just waiting for you to come and launch. I want to wind up by quoting what our late Minister Michuki said, getting things done. He asked one of our colleagues when I was a PS what it needed to clean Nairobi River. And my colleague said we need a concept paper, we need all those write-ups. He actually chased him from the ministry, and he said you are not the right person that I need in this ministry to clean Nairobi River. You need wheelbarrows, you need gumboots, you need people to clean the river. So we need to get things done. Another example, as I wind up, Your Excellency, we were in a meeting and there was a problem in Mau. And he said, remember the late, why are we sitting here discussing things instead of getting them done? You know where Mau is, you know you have police, and you know where you want to take these people. Go and work, because the moment you continue engaging in discussions, you politicize it, and we can't move. So, Your Excellency, I want to support what you have said, that we now need to move. Next time we meet, we should be talking about what we have achieved and not discussing about, again, challenges and what we are facing. That's the only way that we are going to move forward. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Governor Lusaka. I think we'll wind up with Governor Sess. 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And let me, I want to be a bit general, not specific. You've heard the governors, and I don't want to repeat what has been said. We are in the same WhatsApp group with His Excellency in terms of impatience. Why are we impatient? Because the 6 million jobless young people come from our counties. We meet them every single day. So we need action and no more boardroom meetings. And so I just want to add my voice and say that really it's time for action. I've listened to Ms. Gumi, that's your name, and she says the only assurance we need, Your Excellency, is that 40% local content will be available for local manufacturers. So if that's the only issue, are we therefore saying, as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, that we are willing and ready to support this great idea of housing? Or are we going to spend another 10 years discussing about the same housing issue that was started in 2013 when Jubilee government took over? I think those are the basic questions. Let's hear a yes, then we go and start work. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Sess. And finally, Governor Badilisha, and just 30 seconds for you. I have stolen some time.
Yes, you have.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We want to appreciate that you called this forum for us to interact with the private sector. When I was listening, the private sector have really talked about the local and global competitiveness, and I have solution for them. Maybe they set up their industries and factories maybe very far away from where the products are coming, we would encourage them, instead of importing those things from counties to Nairobi here, come and set up those factories where we are, and it will be easier for you. Again, Your Excellency, I would also like to suggest that the issue of power, like in Nyandarua we have wind power, which can be very cheap. So we would want to encourage some of the private sectors also to invest in production of power, so that now it becomes easy even for you to carry that work. Rao, we are number one reading in milk production, meaning we have a lot of animals. So you're asking of a county to support in shoemaking. We are ready for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And just to conclude in a sentence, Your Excellency, to the private sector, we are going to be production, whether it's in providing extension services so that we can produce the produce that you want, and also to discuss with you which areas you may want to come and invest in every county. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, you've said what you'd like to get from the government. How you'd like to engage with the government. The governors have said how they'd like to engage with you. The president started by saying, well, we've been talking about this for many years, and now it's about time that we get things done. Your Excellency, I want to conclude by just coming to you so that you can set this ball rolling. In fact, not just set the ball rolling, but just kick the ball, so that everybody knows what they're supposed to do beyond this day. Talk has been done. Budgetary allocations have already been made. I've seen the budget at the national level. You've allocated budget for KIPES. You've allocated budget for the value chains. The county governors have said the same. The private sector, you're saying you're ready to engage. So enough with the talk, Mr. President. Where should the action begin with the private sector today?
Allow me to respond generally in, I know my good friends governors have made comments which are very positive, and I have one or two things to say about what they have said. I have listened to our good friends also in the private sector and what they want us to do and how they view this journey that we intend to take together. Let me just say one broad thing. Today, we had a meeting with our children, and I was reflecting on how much money we spend in our education. For primary, secondary, TVET, and university, every year, we spend 650 billion every year. That is 28% thereabout of our budget. And it is important for us to understand that because we are spending that amount of money, we have developed one of the best human capital in the world. We pride ourselves of having one of the best human capital in the world. We churn out about between 800 and 1 million young people into the labor market every year. After we spend this huge amount of money, it should concern us as a nation what happens to this big investment we make in the education and the development of our human capital. Otherwise, we would be very reckless. And it is the reason why I want to encourage all of us here, especially my good friends in the private sector, that it is important for us collectively to think about how we are going to create opportunities for the 800,000, 1 million young people will churn out every year from our education system because we spend a colossal amount of money to develop these people. Having said that, listening to my good sister Susan, I agree with you 100% that whole system about what we need to do, and I am very excited, I'm very happy with what the counties are doing. The counties you have mentioned, we're going to, whatever it is, that's why we have a line in our budget to support pyrethrum. We are working, we are putting some resources in cooperative development, we are putting some resources in matter seeds, and we are willing and ready to partner with you so that we can turn around the pyrethrum sector and create opportunities for farmers and for us as a country to leverage on it to get foreign exchange and to export our products. I am looking forward to, once we finish with the budget, to a proper engagement between our ministries, both trade, agriculture, with our county governments, so that you can tell us where the gaps are. And so that we can see what resources do you have, how can we backstop, how can we fill the gaps, so that we can all move together. Same thing with cotton. Same thing, and I listened to the very, very passionate drive by my sister Wanga about cotton and about palm oil. These are the two sectors that we have deliberately put in our plan because they hold a very huge potential of not just incomes for farmers, but also creating opportunities for jobs for our young people, so that the 650 billion we spend every year on our young people have some meaning. And to promise you that we've also aligned in that sector, and hopefully we will get the private sector to come on board so that we can work on the aspects you have said about ginning, because it's not practical and it's not correct that cotton produced in Homa Bay is ginned in Baringo. It doesn't simply make sense. You know, we have to rethink about that, and that is part of the resources that we have factored into our budget to see how we can assist the private sector with seed capital to provide some of these interventions. And also, the reason why I sent Moses Kuria to Indonesia is precisely because of palm oil. Because we want to be clear. The president of Indonesia had sent his minister to see me, and then I sent Moses, and now the president himself is coming, because we have to unlock the jigsaw around edible oil. I know I had a meeting with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and they were telling me about that, you know, we have some people who have invested in packaging and doing a bit of refining at the tail end. I think we need to do more than that. It is not sufficient for us to import finished goods from all over the place, package it, put a brand, and imagine that it's a Kenyan brand. It's not. I mean, let's be honest. We are lying to ourselves, you know. We have to get it right from the beginning. And I know it's easier to live in the comfort zone because you're making a little money and it's okay, you know. But you know, it's not okay. You know, we are spending $1 billion every year to import edible oil that our farmers can grow, and they can make that $1 billion. I am very happy that we are all thinking in the same direction, at least with the governors. We are thinking in the same direction, and I hope we will create a big enough team to be able to persuade our private sector to come along with us. Please, tafadhali. Yeah. so that we can all think together in that direction. We are working with what we can do, the whole of Western Kenya, from Kitale, Bungoma, all the way Siaya, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, Vihiga, Kakamega. Those are the people who should be producing for us edible oil, because they have the capacity to. And we have the market for them. They don't have to go looking. We have the market to buy, because we are already spending $1 billion. That $1 billion is money that is available in our market that we can use to buy your products. But you see, we have to get on with it. It cannot continue to be any discussion any further. We all know what is right and what is wrong. Mudhomi Njuki, I agree with you, the pulses issue. I called you. I called the governor of Kitui. I called SES. I called, who was the other person? I think those three. And I gave this man called Moses Kuria instructions. Moses, I told you what to do. You know, chukua microphone, ambia hawa watu, hii pulses, what are you going to do? Wapi microphone, patia huyu mtu anaitwa Moses. You know me and you are discussed.
Your Excellency, as if you expect to have a different answer, which is not possible. So, Governor Mudhomi Njuki, by close of next week, we will have bought all the dengos from the county, from Makueni, and from Kitui, and from Embu at the right price. So we need to have a conversation around that price. And why I'm very happy, this is a very good problem to have. Because a few weeks ago, we came to you because we didn't have food in this country. And you told us, just guarantee me that you'll buy, these people are human tractors. And you have proven that they are real human tractors. So by close of next week, I'm going to dispatch my teams, and once we agree on the price, we'll mop up all the dengos. And that should be the trend for future, for the cotton, for the paredram, for anything. It is not our fault. It is not the farmers' mistake that they are too hardworking. We have to do what we need to do as a government. Thank you. Asante.
Okay. So when we finish this meeting, I expect a meeting between Governor Mudhomi, Governor SES, Governor, my good friend Mutula, and Malombe, Governor Malombe, on the issue of pulses. It is going to be tragic if our farmers are going to get stranded with a crop and a product when we've just walked out from a food insecurity situation. It is not prudent, it's not intelligent. In fact, let me not say it's foolish, because it is. So let us let us sort that out. I already I spoke to the managing director of KNTC, and I told her what to do. Moses, you need to just get things moving, because we cannot continue that way, and we need to begin to demonstrate the power of aggregation. And we have all agencies which can buy the pulses. We have our NYS, we have our military, we have many people who are ready to buy that product. Let me also say, I have listened to the private sector very carefully, and they have told us about global competitiveness, which is good. They have told us about all the other good things that we need to do. But we need to be a bit more clear on what do we need to do as government. Because you have mentioned, my good brother from Kenya Association of Manufacturers, you have said the problem is the export levy. The export levy is not there now. We are proposing. We are proposing. So why is it a problem before even we put it in place? And the reason why, let's be honest, the reason why we are putting the export levy is because of what Madam Ngumi here said. Is she still here? Yes, she's there. She says she's been importing and trying this or the other. She's now moved in the last 5 years to manufacturing from locally local primary products. That is the transition we need to make. It is the transition we need to make in cement. It is the transition we need to make in steel, the billets. It is the transition we need to make in paper. And that is why we are saying, and that is why we are putting this levy, is so that those people who have taken the step, like Ms. Ngumi here, those people who have taken the step to produce locally, we support them by imposing a duty on those who want to continue importing raw materials and packaging things here. You know, let us just be, let's be honest. Ama tunaelewana namna gani? Yeah. How are we going to create these jobs? How are we going to create additional jobs in our manufacturing sector? How are we going to stop the hemorrhage of foreign exchange if we are importing what we can produce locally? That is the story, Kenyans, please. So, tafadhali bwana mkubwa, sasa tumeweka tax kwa simiti kwa sababu we have enough cement factories here which should be employing Kenyans. And we should stop, going to bring cement from I don't know where, when we can use our own local materials, make the cement, hire our own people, stop the hemorrhage of foreign exchange. I was having a conversation with Anne. We are importing saline water. Just imagine. We're importing saline water from all manner of places. Saline water is just water, in short, with just imewekwa tu msalapa kidogo alafu inakuwa imeombewa alafu inakuwa So really, I mean, we have to be serious as Kenyans. It cannot be business as usual. So the best we can do for those people who are in transition, the best we can do for the people who are in transition is for them to tell us, okay, what do they need to complete the transition? We are ready to engage. But to tell us that when they lay to, let's go on, like, no, we have to think about that. We have said, for example, we are imposing a 30% duty on imported furniture. Why are we importing furniture, good people from China and all manner of places, when we have our young people from Tibet, we have wood products, it can be made locally. Explain to me, give me one reason why we should continue to import furniture from wherever. There is no reason. Sindio? Hakuna, there is no reason. So we just stop it, alafu tuendelee na ile kazi tuko naye hapa. We will shortly have developed the industry enough, not just to make our own products, but when we give them a market, they will improve in their quality, and shortly we will be exporting furniture to other places. That is the trajectory we want to go. That is what is in the finance bill. We have also said, why are we importing paint? For heaven's sake. Ngumi here says it is possible to manufacture paint in Kenya. Why are we have said in our budget, we do not have to import paint. Let us support local manufacture. I like what my good friend from the Pharmaceutical has said. He has said that we need to encourage local manufacture. That industry is like 300 billion shilling industry. 70% we are importing. 60% is generics. You know, these are just things we can manufacture locally here. And that is why we have done two things. We have said in the budget this year, deliberate. Number two things, we have said manufacturers will pay of human vaccines and medicine will pay a lower corporate tax than the others to give leverage to those who want to manufacture in Kenya. Number two, we have removed tax on equipment and materials for manufacture of pharmaceuticals in Kenya. Again, to support our universal health coverage and to make medicine affordable in Kenya. It is there in the budget. I don't know why people are not reading. I don't know whether we understand one another. So we are being deliberate. When we are talking about, when you see there, we are saying pharmaceuticals. We have made policy interventions in the budget to clearly support the manufacture of pharmaceuticals in Kenya because it will save us foreign exchange. As my good brother said there, it will give us the assurance that if anything happens anywhere, we can manufacture our own medicine and we will not be stranded with sick people. Are we together? So that is a value chain that we need to work on, and we have made policy interventions. We have put it in the budget to support that sector. And if there is anything, for the people who work in that sector, if there is anything additional you want us to do, please tell us, because we want to engage with every sector so that we can support the incentives around there. I have heard you clearly, and you are right. On the housing, I have heard you say two things. Mesema, governance is an issue. Number two, you have said, maybe not now, maybe later. Yeah? Those are the two things I had. So, governance. Yes. Governance is an issue. But let me ask you, good people of Kenya, are we going to stop a whole project that can hire 1 million young people every year? A project that will support our industrialization agenda, those who produce cement, those who produce steel, those who produce doors, those who produce hinges and windows, the architects, the quantity surveyors, the electricians, the masons, the carpenters who are supposed to work in that space. Are we going to stop the whole of that exercise because we are not sure about governance? I have given my personal undertaking. The buck will stop at my desk. And I intend to take responsibility. I will not assign it to the next person. Because the millions of young people in Kenya who are walking our streets are an emergency for us. We cannot continue to say, maybe we should try it another time, maybe we should try it another day. I want to persuade you, good people. Yeah? We must sort out the governance issue. And I have said that we are going to develop the structure. Kenya Association of Manufacturers, we want them to sit in the board. We want every other person to sit in the board that will manage the housing fund, so that we can all see. I mean, unless you're telling me as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers you don't trust yourselves, unless you're telling me you have a serious governance problem, you know, and if you do, you tell us so that we can help you sort it out. So we will sort that out. Number two, you've said you don't know whether we should do it now or later. Let me tell you, and let me just say, on that issue of governance, it is actually the classic case of throwing out the baby together with the bathwater. You know, we must be careful. We must know how do we sort out governance without killing the big project that is supposed to turn around our country. You have also said maybe we should wait. Maybe the situation is not correct. This project has been with us for 5 years. We started in 2018. This is now 2023. We are in the time scale of Singapore, we are 60 years late. I don't know whether we need to be 61 years late. Surely. I think let's just agree. It is now or never. Let us just do this thing and let us get ourselves moving. It is a little tightening of the belt here and there. I know my good brother of e-mobility, you are spot on. And by the way, in this year's finance bill, we have put the tax incentives you are asking for in this year's tax bill, finance bill, on issues of taxation, on e-mobility, on issue of chargers, and I have instructed Moses to make sure that they are with clarity, including the lithium maneno, because I want to launch that program later this year, and we want to transit from using fossil fuels, from using diesel or petrol or kerosene on our piki-pikis and two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and save ourselves the kind of money. We are spending $500 million every month to import our fuel products. We can cut that down by half if we go the direction that Goodman is saying, if we go the direction that we have put in our finance bill this year. Tunaelewana jameni? So, you are spot on. And I just needed, I spoke to the chair of the finance committee 2 days ago, just to make sure that nothing untoward happens on that particular subject. On the slaughterhouses, I think the governors have heard. I think we just need to put our act together. The complaint, it is small. Rao is exaggerating it kidogo. And by the way, Rao is selling very good leather. The leather you buy in Dubai, Rao can sell it to you at 1/3 of the price. I am a testimony. I have bought leather from Rao at 30% what you would get in Dubai from our own livestock. Yeah, not imported. So thank you very much, Rao, for what your sector, and it is true. We've had several meetings in my office. We've had several meetings elsewhere, and that's why we have put resources in that corner. I want to ask my good friends, governors, what is important is how to manage our slaughterhouses, the knives we are using, the flaying. You know, many times we lose a whole hide or a whole skin because of the knife we are using, and it's not expensive. We can all agree on how that can be managed, and we can also all agree on how that whole infrastructure is set up so that there is no duplication and there is no overlapping. We can structure it properly. I think we have some homework there as policymakers, especially the governors and myself. We have some homework on what to do in that particular section. I know, for example, the Nini in West Pokot is complete. The abattoir in West Pokot is complete. I know the one for Isiolo is almost complete. We have one in Mandera. We have one in Wajir. We have one in Marsabit. We need to, consolidate our thoughts and see who does what. I know, for example, we have a big effort that we are working on in Naivasha on leather, and and I was forced to negotiate more land for Naivasha. So we are working on it. And of course, we need to have at least 4 or 5 clusters of where we can produce our leather products. So I think my team has worked on some clusters. We will need to discuss with the counties so that we agree on where the clusters will be. We will also need to agree on how we can put together, common user facilities. We can employ many people if we have common user, like what we have in Karioko, that can produce how many pairs of shoes? I think 3,000 per day. We can do that elsewhere. And the project we are making is we want to see how it is possible for us, all our 14 million kids in school, instead of wearing plastic from all manner of places, they should be able to wear shoes from our own livestock. And we can be able to get those shoes better with a price that is affordable to all of us, and we can agree how that can be funded. I see many counties funding school milk. We can also do school shoes. And we can partner to make sure that all our kids are sitting good in school, not bare feet, like the way all of us did when we went to school. So I also, this morning, I was talking to Governor Waiguru about how we need to bring our TVETs, because you had Rao say footwear training on footwear and that whole ecosystem there. And I was speaking with my dear sister here, very relaxed. I was talking with her. She was actually the first person I called in the morning. And I was telling her that we need a small meeting between the Ministry of Education and the counties so that we can harmonize the curriculum between your vocational training institutions at the county and our TVETs, so that that whole chain speaks to our manufacturing. How do we train others at the lower level of certificate in the lower cadres? And by the way, I am willing to help. The way we have improved on our TVETs, we can do the same with our vocational training centers that are under the counties. So we can, again, that is a space where I requested Governor Ann to provide some leadership, and then we can talk and see how we can support people like Rao and all the others in that space. Let me also say, Madam Gumi said there are so many people that are being trained by different people. And they are wondering how we can mainstream these people who already have skills. The good news, Madam, I don't know, did I get your name right? Gumi, yeah. That we now have recognition of prior learning as a mechanism of bringing those people and certifying them as people who have skills, and they can be given certification papers and they can go forward and work. So we have changed the law so that our TVETs can issue certificates for recognition of prior learning, especially people who have skills whom they have developed because of where they were working. I don't know. I think, I don't know whether I have answered many of the issues that were, energy. Yeah, there is one issue around energy. And even before I go to energy, I know Wanga talked about seeds. And I agree with you, Wanga, that if you give out seeds that do not, you are in so much trouble. I don't know. There is somebody who gave out seeds. Wambora Ren. Wambora was impeached twice over seeds. So it's a very risky venture. I agree. But I have discussed with my minister for trade. In fact, I am going to personally visit, I think, 2 countries, the ones we agreed, who will assist us with cotton seed, because we need scale. You know, we are running short of time. We may not have time to develop our own in good time. So we might have to import some seeds. So I will travel to 1 or 2 countries in the next maybe in the next 2 weeks, so that we can be sure. And they have asked me to go and speak to the president of some 2 countries, let me not say which ones, so that they can allow us to import their seeds and see how we can fast track that process. That is very important to us, because we need to move together. On issue of energy, I think the immediate intervention that we are making is, number 1, on the special economic zones, we are trying to develop a tariff for the special economic zones. That's number 1. But that will not be enough, you know. We have to think of all the other manufacturers that are not in our special economic zones, and what do we do with them? It's a conversation we are having. 2 things that we are doing, as Jir was saying, the governor of Wajir, about Ketraco. We are changing the model in Ketraco. We were using government money to develop transmission lines. We want the private sector to develop transmission lines. We will pay them a willing charge when we use it to transport our energy. The law is already there, so we are in discussion with people who can invest in transmission lines. That's number 1. Number 2, we've just agreed on reforming Kenya Power and Lighting Corporation. It is overdue. We have a lot of manenos there, so we are dissecting it so that we can, because number 1, we are losing between 20 and 30% of all our energy, which we pay for, but we don't consume because it gets lost somewhere. It is because of many things, let me not say. So we are working on Kenya Power. We have agreed on our development partners on what we need to do. We have new management at Kenya Power, so we are working at it, because the cost of power, as has been said here, is a major issue, especially speaking to our global competitiveness. I think that is one of the issues Caro will tell us we need to do something about. So I hope I have said, I think I've spoken to the issues that were raised. If there are any other issues, I am still available to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And yes, you have responded to a majority of the issues that had been asked, and any others, like you've said, will be asked later. Carol, as the private sector, the President has spoken. I'm sure you want to ask him when you want to meet next. So please, as we conclude.
Thank you, Your Excellency. You've made your commitments. We've heard from the governors, and we've made our commitments, Your Excellency. So my only commitment to you is that I'll rally these people twice a year to meet with you and the governors, and so that at least we can, how many? Okay.
Your Excellency, Carlo just spoiled my party, because I had already booked on your calendar to meet every 3 months, so that...
He's even made it better.
So that, and I think I want to echo the governor of Bungoma, what he has said about next time we meet is not stories. It is what have we achieved. Your Excellency, we were here in February in Naivasha, and here today we reported some progress on some few areas like KIBS and all that. We hope that on the second week of September, after you host the climate summit, we will meet again, see what everybody has done. And Your Excellency, you know, you've given me a wonderful team of governors to work with. You can just judge by how attentive they were In fact, it's only the phone of Governor of Bungoma which rang only once. And he assured me it was Yesu Watongaren who was calling. There was no other reason. So we are going to meet again. All the governors, this is what you have achieved. These are the types you have rolled out. Private sector says, even my good friend Rajan, the chairman of CAM, will have gotten saved by that time and will move forward. Thank you very much.
By the way, let me, in a very special way, congratulate governors on their commitment to the county aggregation and industrial parks. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, many governors did not even wait for the budget. Some of them went and adjusted their budgets and put in money. You have my commitment on that issue. That is one thing we must get off the ground and done with. Hopefully, in the next 1 year, they should be working. And by the way, I have secured some resources to equip those county aggregation and industrial parks. So tuko sawa. So nyinyi mjipange hapo. Hawa watu ya private sector tutawasukuma.
Your Excellency, thank you. I was worried about your calendar overwhelming it, but your CS has committed you. So every 3 months we'll rally, and including the other value chains that we didn't talk about, tea and others, and make sure that the private sector commitments that we've made, we come and give you progress. So kama unataka kutuchapa, unatuchapa hapo. Kama tujaendelea vile tumesema. So that's really what I wanted to say. And if you just allow me before we walk off, let me just ask my chair just to give a vote of thanks and just conclude for us, and then we will go and make the matrix. You're very aware of our matrices. We will make that matrix. We'll include ourselves, government, and both national and county, and we will have a tracking mechanism for every month.
Your Excellency, good afternoon, or good evening. And, allow me to stand on the protocols observed. Everybody in this room, thank you all for your patience. I'm glad Caro has mentioned tea, because I thought tea, I'm known as the tea girl, by the way. I have a brand of tea called Melvin's, but I'm called the tea girl. And they always say conversations begin over a cup of tea. We have seen here, there's been a disconnect, and you mentioned it, Your Excellency. We came in with a disconnect. Rajan here is saying, I can't get pulses. They're saying they have too much pulses. Even before you take it to KNTC, watch a private sector to Nunue, because we'll be able to take it to the market. So please, the largest foreign exchange earner after diaspora is tea. Let us not forget it. Last year, I know we increased 5 billion into your kitty as tea. Imagine now if we added value addition to that. And I must congratulate you, sir. We were with you, I think, just after you came in July, and you flagged off tea to Ghana under the Guided Trade Initiative. So I was not in the program. However, my phone started ringing, and it rang. And in December, somebody gave me an order from Ghana, and he told me, you pack the tea, here's the money, me, I'll do certification. It has taken me up to now. That was, I think, November or September. I got my certification this week. So my tea was leaving today for Ghana. So thank you very much. It's a good program. We believe in the Africa Continental Free Trade, and it's something, that is why I'm saying, please let's not forget tea, because it's something that can change our trajectory. Anyway, I think for the private sector, we are honored. We are glad we had this conversation. You have had the commitments, and we will be holding our minister accountable, ourselves and yourself, just to make sure that we actually deliver your vision for this country and really take Kenya to the next trajectory. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Me to the tea girl. Did you? To give you some good news on tea, I made a commitment that we are going to remove VAT on tea. In this year's budget, we are removing taxes on tea. Number one. Number two, we are even adding a sweetener. All packaging material, we are also removing taxes on all packaging material, so that you and all the other people who are in that sector can package your tea, can package your coffee and sell it, because I was told by you people in that sector that you could not package our tea locally. It was being packaged in all manner of places except in Kenya, because you said that you were paying an arm and a leg for packaging material, which is very expensive. I have removed the taxes. So I expect at least 10,000 jobs from the tea sector in packaging.
Yes. I think we were committing to 100,000 jobs.
100,000?
100,000 jobs.
Wapige makofi jameni. At least I will get more people out of the streets and out of villages and markets. It will be very good.
I think, sir, one more thing that I have not had mentioned today is what they call government country marketing. It is very difficult for one brand to go and market in a country. So I know South Africa did this when they asked their team, what do you want about wines? They taught them a lot about wines, but the country itself went out and did country marketing. So I think in Kenya it would be nice, maybe through our export process, Keproba, to actually now begin country marketing, where you, as you're going out, you talk about it and we start running promotions as a country.
Let me give you some more good news around marketing.
It's my bad.
I already talked to those people of English breakfast tea and all those other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have agreed with them. They are coming here.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation.
Yeah.
All the tea that is being sold in Africa, we will package them out of here. I have given them a condition that if that is not the case, then they should look for their own tea. We are not giving them ours.
Your Excellency, the PS for Trade would want to say something about the issue of marketing. The PS for Trade. Mr. Kobudo.
Good afternoon, everybody. To Your Excellency, Honorable Governors, Honorable Cabinet Secretaries, I would just want to make a very quick comment that the State Department for Trade is recalibrating its marketing-related activities together with the Kenya Export and Promotion Agency, so that then this marketing is done in the context of supporting specific value chains within the market segments and within the segments that are able to understand and drive that. And we have several new strategies that we shall be rolling out, and perhaps at a sector level we can continue having these conversations, so that the tea basically is not just marketed broadly, but it is marketed, just for example, to the Black diaspora in the United States that basically wants a very specific product and is packaged in a very specific way and tells a very specific story. So that is something that we are going to do. We are mobilizing resources to be able to do this, and I think that take kindly to things like the levy, because the levy is the instrument that is also then supporting us to be able to support you. Thank you very much.
You want some more good news?
Your Excellency, thank you very much. This has been a very easy session, calling it a moderated session, but I can see there are some members who would like to raise one or two issues. Please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Geshimu Gedenji, Member of Parliament Gishogo. I sit in the Committee of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, led by our chair here, Honorable James Gakuya. I've had the benefit to interact with the value chain in two ministries, that is cooperatives, MSMEs, and industry and trade. And I would propose that this value chain be conducted or managed from a common point, because the budgets have been spread far and thin across the various ministries, and in the process of interacting with the budget making process, we found that none of the departments have indicated that they have enough budget to do whatever they are supposed to do. So if the money that is for the value chain can be consolidated at one point and managed probably by a team of a committee from all the departments, it would work better, so that we can have production done, value addition, and everything that needs to be done for purposes of even accountability and audit. Thank you, Your Excellency. I rest my comment and proposal.
Your Excellency, my name is Geoffrey Kiringaruko, Member of Parliament from Barren North. Your Excellency, there are two issues, legislative issues, which were mentioned by the first presenter, that there is a gap between Crop Act and Diagram Act, as well as there is a need of review of procurement, public procurement and asset disposal act to include the pharmaceuticals. I think these are two issues which we as members of parliament, we can be able to expedite if we consult with the presenter so that we can be able to support this agenda as members of parliament. The last issue, Your Excellency, is that the presenter did not want to mention about housing. I think the members of parliament are very firm, because what we are doing, Your Excellency, is to ensure Article 43 of our Constitution, which talks about economic and social rights, and Article 43B is clear about accessible housing and sanitation facilities. That we have to achieve. That we have to support your government as members of parliament to ensure this right is achieved in our lifetime. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. So, Your Excellency, we've got to conclude this panel discussion. We've even had the vote of thanks. So I want to thank you very much for this session, and thank you everybody for the engagement. I'd like to hand over now to my colleague, Michael Gitonga.
Thank you very much, Latif. Why don't we give a hearty warm clap to the panelists, including His Excellency, the President. Thank you, Eric, also for your leadership and guidance with that. And we've come to the end of this particular session, and we are just going to wind up. But a special recognition to the Trade Committee led by Chairman John Gakuya, and also to recognize KBC, who are running this live throughout the whole session. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end, so I'll request that we remain standing where we are as we allow His Excellency to then retreat at his own pleasure. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, a great weekend ahead. Take care of yourselves and each other.